Kabhi So this is a very incredible kirtan. We're generating the enthusiasm to take shelter of Harinam and to pray to become free from the effects of Namaparad and to dive deeply into the Namarasa. So after remembering Shishi Gaur Nitai, now we remember Sri Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna Pranamu. Radha Krishna Pranamo Yugala Kishore Radha Krishna Pranamo Yugala Kishore Radha Krishna Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai, Radha Sarwar ki Jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Namaskritam manamapi Esachi Buddhamata Surupam Rupam Tasya Gajamuri Purim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Magirivaram Aho Radhika Manavasam Prapto Sapadita Kripara Sri Guru Natosmi Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hema Bhadivyat Javi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya Vina Aparada Lakshay Shilpastika Madhitarangamadi Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prabhana Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Hey Krishna, Hey Radha, Hey Sakhi, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Tavai vasmi, na jivami taya vina. Iti vikyaya devi tam namam charantikam. First of all, I offer my sastang dandavat puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, Asmadeva Parvaraditama Guru Pada Padma, Nitya Lila Parvishta Om Vishnu Pada Shtotara Sata Shishimad, Rupanugacharivaya, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Swami. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Guru's Guru and his Guru and his Guru and all the members of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaisnavas and Vaishnavis, Vanchakalpatarubhascha, Vipasindam. Srila Raghunatha Das Goswami. In his life, he has established the ideal practice. He used to every day give hundreds of dandavat pranams, falling on the ground like a stick. Oh, Sri Sachinandan, oh Mahaprabhu, ki jai, and give pranam, and then get up again. And again fall down. Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Advaita Acharya Prabhu ki jai. Gadara Pandit Prabhu ki jai. Shivas Thakur Prabhu ki jai. Oh, Swarupa Damodar ki jai. Oh, Roy Ramananda Prabhu ki jai. He will give hundreds of pranams to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates who are the abode of transcendental love for him. And then he would give pranam again hundreds of times to the eternal residents of Vrindavan. Oh, Yashoda Maya ki jai! Nanda Baba ki jai! Da Maya ki jai! Rohini Maya ki jai! Oh, Lalita Saki ki jai! Oh, Rupa Manjari ki jai! Bhaguri Rishi ki jai! Oh, Navasri Devi ki jai! Manu Mangal ki jai! This is called Nati, or Pranam. Prakrista Rupain, in the most excellent way, Na, Nivriti, giving up, Ma, Ahankara, all ego, giving up all identification with the material body and mind. This is what it means to give pranam. So again and again, and remembering the associates of Mahaprabhu and the associates of Radha and Krishna. He would give so many pranams. He had taste in this. There was taste in it. Realization was coming. He would chant fixed number of Naam every day. 1 lakh, 64 rounds, 2 lakhs, sometimes 3 lakhs. He used to bathe 3 times a day, the morning, noon and evening, in Radha Kund, offering prayers to, doing Stava and Stuti to Radha Kund Astakam, and prayers to Srimati Radhika herself. He used to, for about 22 and a half hours, be engaged in hearing, chanting and remembering. And he would sleep for about 1.5 hours. And some nights he could not sleep at all. And even when he was sleeping, in his dreams, oh, he would have the darshan of Srimati Radharani. He used to come together with the Vaisnavas and have 3 hours Gaura Katha every day. Because of 6 Goswamis, no one spent so much time with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Because he was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri for about 12 years or more. So he has seen with his own eyes, and what he did not see, Swarupa Damodar Goswami had seen and used to tell him everything. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing in the Gambhira throughout the night, Raghunath Das Goswami was not there, but Swarupa Damodar Goswami was there, and Raghunath Das Goswami was known as, because there were 3 Raghunaths in Puri, so he was known as Swarupa Raghu, the Raghu of Swarupa Damodar. Was very close to Swarupa Damodar Goswami. He used to eat only a few a little dried roti or some chickpeas, or a dona, a leaf cup with some buttermilk. His vairagya, his detachment from the world was like lines in stone. He could not be moved. His body was like lakri, firewood. No, his senses had no feeling to the world at all. And he was constantly absorbed in love of Radha and Krishna. One day he was chanting in very hot sun on the bank of Radhakund, and two tigers came there and they began to drink the water very nearby where he was sitting. And Sanatana Goswami told him, "Oh, you should make a bhajan kutir, a hut, and be inside, out of the hot sun and from the danger of the wild jungle animals." But he did not willfully disobey him. But he was so absorbed in his bhajan, he could not remember to do it. He was not concerned about his own the shelter and comfort. Then one day he was chanting in the hot sun. And Srila Sanatana Goswami, when he came there to Radhakund, he saw one very beautiful Kishori. And she was standing behind him and holding out her veil above his head and giving him shade. Srila Sanatana Goswami came there and saw, "What is this?" And then that Kishori disappeared. He said, "Oh, I told you to make a kutir, now look what happened. Radharani herself has come and is serving you, giving you shade from the sun. Are you the servant of Radhika or is she your servant?" How much Radharani loves Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami turned around and he looked in the dust behind him. And there were the charanchin, the footprints of Radharani. And he began to cry. Because he thought, "Oh, she came here. But I am so unlucky, I never saw her." But he had the darshan of her footprints and he was weeping. So that very Raghunath Das Goswami, that transcendental personality, who is Rati Manjari, eternal associate, maidservant of the divine couple, has come into this world to perform these pastimes and show us the way of pure devotion. And that very personality has given the 13 verses of Manah-siksa to us, as a gift to us, to show us how to follow in his footsteps, follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, and be with Rupa Manjari and Rati Manjari forever in Goloka Vrindavan. Do you want to go there? And if you want to go, then try to follow these prayers of Manah-siksa. So, yesterday we described the first two verses. Guru Goshte Goshtalayesu Sujane Busu. Actually, in the last verse of Manah-siksa, Raghunath Das Goswami says, Gira Manah-siksa Daika Gasaka Paramaitam Madhuraya Gira Gayantu Chai Samati Tati Sarvati Tativa. That if a person will loudly and in a melodious voice sing these verses of Manah-siksa every day, with an understanding of the Samadhi Gata Artha, the meaning of the verses which becomes revealed to one in the state of Samadhi, then he will definitely get the jewel of Radha and Krishna's service under the guidance of Rupa Manjari. So in a loud voice every day, with a melodious voice, we should sing Guru Goste Gostalayesu Sujane Busuragane Somantri Sri Namni Braja Nava Yuva Dvandva Shane Sada Dambam Hitva Kururatima Purvam Atitaram Ayi Swanta Brata Chatubista Tijache Dritapada. Oh my dear mind, you are my brother. I am falling. You see, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Atmaiva Ripuratmanam. Your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. If your mind is following the path of the saints, and your mind is your friend. But if your mind is independent and wandering wherever you feel, then your mind is your worst enemy. You have been following your mind for millions and millions of lifetimes in this world, and never found God, your soul, or even the peace of mind. So mind is, the uncontrolled mind is your worst enemy. The worst enemy is the enemy you don't even know is your enemy. Who is your enemy? Who you can recognize. You can watch that person, make sure they don't do anything. But who you think is your friend, but is actually your enemy, they ruin you. So mind is like that. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur means enemy, means a person who is not lazy, but is very actively plotting your downfall. You know, if there's a king, if there's a nation, and another nation has enmity towards that nation, then that inimical nation, they're not lazy. They are building up their tanks, their missiles, their soldiers. They're very busy planning how to finish the other nation. So in the same way, the uncontrolled mind never sleeps. It is busy arranging to waste your life, ruin this human form of life. And so again you will have to take birth in this world, again and again. So it's very important to make peace with your own mind and encourage your mind to engage in all things which are favorable for the upliftment of your soul. So he's saying, my dear brother mind, I am holding your feet and I am begging you with very sweet words. Give up all vanity. You know, the Saint Thomas à Kempis, he said, all is vanity, all is vanity, all is vanity. Whatever is not the service of God is vanity. Because the soul by nature is the servant of God. So whatever we do which is not that service means that we've been covered by an artificial, false material designation, an illusory identity. And accepting that illusory identity, we're acting on the basis of that. So all is vanity, all is vanity. So my dear mind, give up all vanity and develop intense attachment to your spiritual master, to the holy Dham of Vrindavan, to the residents of Vrindavan who are the Uttam Adhikari, the highest devotees, to the devotees in other sampradayas and other traditions, love them also. They are Madhyama. And to the Konishta, the Brahmins who are living in the Dham, have deep attachment to remembering your Diksha mantras every day. Yesterday, we spoke about Gopal mantra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received 10 syllables only of the Gopal mantra from his guru. But later, in the association of Ramananda Rai, he learnt about Kam Gayatri. So these two go together, Gopal mantra and the Kam Gayatri. By Gopal mantra, you will be established in your Vishesh Sambandha, your special relationship with Krishna. And then, by the influence of Kam Gayatri, the mood in which you will serve the divine couple, you will become completely permeated with that. The mind cannot imagine what ecstatic feeling this calm Gayatri gives to the soul, by which the soul will serve the divine couple. When Radha and Krishna meet together, then they're maidservants. They become like the Avesh Murtis of Radhika's love for Krishna. And they are moving around and fanning, bringing water, massaging and serving the divine couple in all ways. They are non-different from the outer, different individual embodiments of Radhika's love for Krishna. So this inconceivable, ecstatic mood of service will manifest by Kam Gayatri. So Swamantra, be very attached to remembering your mantras given by your Gurudev 3 times a day. Yesterday we spoke about Diksha. Diksha means that by which the transcendental knowledge is awakened in the heart and the tendency to sin is diminished down to nothing. This is Diksha. So, generally this is achieved by following the rules and regulations of the Pancharatra. So it's called Pancharatric Diksha. But in some rare cases, that transcendental knowledge may be imparted just by a blessing. Like our Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His Diksha is called the Bhagavati Diksha. Because there are 2 paths, one of Vaidhi, that is following Pancharatra, and one of Raganuga following the Bhagavatam. So Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he just took dust from his own feet and sprinkled it on the head of Bimal Prasad. That is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where his name was Bimal Prasad. And he sprinkled it on his head. And then Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, at that very moment I became unconscious of my body. Just by the touch of the dust of Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj, I lost consciousness of my body. And there and then I realized that I was a very tiny, insignificant jiva, spirit soul. And for many thousands of births I'd been floating in complete illusion, totally lost. And I was utterly devoid of any merit or qualification. And I realized that all the living entities in the world, they are just as helpless as me. All are in this condition. So by the mercy of his Guru, his bodily consciousness went away. And then his spiritual identity awakened. So this is Bhagavati Diksha, not by any formal rules and regulations. It is very, very rare. It is not the rule, it is exceptional. We can give another example. You know that Shivananda Sain, he used to come to Jagannath Puri every year from Navadvip. And one year, he came with his small son. When his son was born, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him to call his son Paramananda. But when he came, Mahaprabhu used to call him Puri Das as a joke. Because Mahaprabhu's very senior and respectable personality was Paramananda Puri. So he used to call the boy Puri Das. So Shivananda came with his boy, about 5 years old. And I would say, oh, give pranam to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he gave pranam. Actually, he had bought him when he was a small baby even. And when he was a small baby, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put his foot near his mouth and he held the big toe of Mahaprabhu and was sucking Mahaprabhu's toe. So now he was now he was 5 years old. And Mahaprabhu said, oh, chant Krishna, Krishna, chant the holy names. And the boy was just silent. So Mahaprabhu said, chant Krishna, Krishna. But the boy was silent. His father was a bit embarrassed. He said, Mahaprabhu's telling him, chant Krishna. But the boy was still silent. Mahaprabhu said, this is a great miracle. When I went through Jarikanda forest, I made wild animals chant. Lions, tigers, elephants, even the non-moving creatures, the trees were chanting. But I cannot make this boy chant. Swarupa Damodar Goswami, his intelligence is very acute. And he said to Mahaprabhu, he said, it seems to me that when you uttered the name Krishna, he accepted it like an Ishta mantra. And so your Ishta mantra, like a Diksha mantra, you don't speak it out loud. And so you told him to chant, but I think he's chanting in his mind. So what does it mean? It means that in this extraordinary case, that when Mahaprabhu said, chant, and then the vibration came from the lips of Mahaprabhu, Krishna, it went in his ear and he saw Krishna in his heart. And then he was just repeating again and again like a Diksha mantra. Because it awakened his Ishta in his heart. It awakened his Sambandha Gyan. Like this. So, is this initiation, is this Diksha or not?
Yeah.
It's Diksha because it fits the definition of the awakening of Sambandha Gyan by which all the material impressions are vanquished. So then, when he was a little older, his father brought him again to Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh, Sloka Paro, recite a verse. So then the boy, he said, Sravaso Kuvalayam Akshnoranjanam Uraso Mahendra Manidam Vrindavana Ramaninam Akilam Mandanam Harir Jayati. And all the Vaisnavas became struck with wonder. Why? No one knew this verse. It wasn't a verse that he learnt. It was a verse that just came out spontaneously when Mahaprabhu said, recite a verse. This is called Kripa, the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it comes to us through our Guru Parampara. Though he was only a boy about 7 years old, but spontaneously this verse came from his heart, which was completely saturated in Brajarasa, in the mellows of Vrindavan, especially in the glories of Gopi's love for Krishna. He said, Shravaso Kuvalayam. Kuvalai means a blue lotus flower. So Sravaso Kuvalai means when the blue lotus flower is behind the ear, like this, as an ear decoration, on both sides. Looks very beautiful. Akshno Anjanam means kajal, or the eyeliner, black eyeliner the gopis put on their lotus eyes. Their eyes are already beautiful. Now they become more beautiful. There is Akshno Anjanam. Uraso Mahendra Manidam. Uraso means the breast, and Mahendra Manidam means a necklace of blue sapphires around their neck and hanging over their breast. Vrindavana Ramaninam Mandanam Akilam. All of these ornaments, Hariya Jayati, Krishna is all of these ornaments. Krishna himself is all of these ornaments. In other words, Krishna is so overwhelmed by the love of Braj Gopis. He becomes completely submissive to them. He becomes like their accessory. He is their decoration. He He is the blue, because he's blue. He is the blue lotus on their ears. He is the anjan on their eyes. And he is the necklace of sapphires upon their breasts. So this verse is giving the emphasis on the gopis and the greatness of their love. And Krishna is like an ornament of the gopis. All the ornaments of the gopis. So the devotees were struck with wonder. So this is actually Diksha. When the divine realization of Krishna's beautiful form and your relationship with Krishna is awakened in the heart, either by Kripa, as it was with Puridas, or by the gradual appearance of the Vastu Prabha, the influence of Gopal Mantra and the Kam Gayatri. It is said Kam Gayatri is like 24.5 moons. And just as the moon in the sky goes from Amavasya, the dark moon night, and then gradually expands and becomes Purna, so similarly, those who remember their Diksha mantras very carefully with great honor every day, then gradually the moon of their mantra begins to shine until it becomes Purna, until it becomes complete. So in the first verse, Srila Raghunatha Das Goswami says, "Oh my dear mind, don't neglect, with the greatest honor, very carefully, and especially, giving up all pride," he's saying. That means give up vidya buddhi, the consciousness that you know something. If you want that your mantras will open, then you must, at the time of remembering the mantras, give up vidya buddhi. That is, I don't know anything. Nothing. If your consciousness is already full of so many things, how will something new come? Very beautiful music comes from the flute of Krishna. Why? Because it's completely empty. And Krishna can fill the flute with the nectar of his heart. So become completely empty, like Krishna's flute. Namaha. Give up everything. And just remember mantra. After some time, then the moons of this mantra will become Purna. And then you can chant Shuddhanam, the pure name. Nama Bas means the name without any offense. But Shuddhanam means not only without offense, but being absorbed in the Sambandha Gyan, the knowledge of your relationship with Krishna. Then it will be Sankirtan, not only Kirtan. Sankirtan means Kirtan with Sambandha Gyan, knowing your relationship. And that relationship binds your heart. In fact, the Sanskrit word for relationship, Sambandha, Sam completely banda, bound. That which Sambandha completely binds you is a Sambandha relationship. Samantresi namni Rajanavayu Dandva Shanani. And take complete shelter of the divine couple. So the first verse we discussed yesterday, we began the second verse. Nadaramam nadamam shutigana niruktam kilakaru Braje Radha Krishna Prachurya Parichajam Hyatanu Sachisunam Nandishwarapati Sutatve Gurubaram Mukunda Prastatve Smara Paramajasram Nanumana. Oh my dear mind, or Jasram, continuously remember these instructions. Na dharmam na dhamam shutigana niruktam kilakuru. Don't be engaged in the prescribed duties of dharma. That doesn't mean do any irreligious activities. It means that those who are not civilized, they don't follow Vedic instruction. Those who are civilized, they completely follow all the Vedic prescriptions. And those who want to do bhajan are the next level. That means give your full time and your full energy into bhajan. Don't do anything else. Braje Radha Krishna Prachara Parichajam Hyatanu. Oh dear mind, constantly engage in the service of Radha and Krishna. So here, Srila Raghunatha Das Goswami is speaking like a devotee in the stage, in which antas chintis tabista tat seva upayogi dehena, by the blessing of Guru and by the power of Nam, the ability to conceive of the Siddha Deha, that stage has come. So once one has the ability to conceive of the Siddha Deha, now your only duty is Paricharya Seva, as we have sung in this kirtan here. Kalindira kule keli kadambe rama ratana bedira rupa gosaboruja. Oh, bring Radha and Krishna. Oh, Shyamasundar. Oh, Kishori. Please come and sit on this beautiful Vedi, throne on the bank of Jamuna, in the forest of Keli Kadamba, small Kadamba trees. Shama Gauri Ange Dibo, and anoint them sandalwood on their dark and fair forms, and take a chamar and fan them as they're laughing and joking with Lalita and Vishaka. Like this. This is your only business. Don't do anything else, he's saying to the mind. Oh, give tumble. Adare tuliya dibo karpura tambule. And whatever orders, one begins to realize. So Lalita may tell, Vishaka may tell something. Lalita, Vishaka, Adi, Jota, Saki, Vrinda. So Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he's following this verse of Raghunath Das Goswami. And what he's realized is expressed in that kirtan. So Vrajay Radha Krishna Prachara Paricharyam Hirtanu has been explained in the song Radha Krishna Pranamo by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Because Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Rupa Raghunatha Pode, Hoibe Akuti, Kabayama Bujabo Sayugla, he's always praying, when will I be eager to follow Rupa and Raghunath Das Goswami? Then I will be able to realize the love of Radha and Krishna. So, Sachisunundandiswarpate, if I am one-pointed in serving Radha and Krishna, what about serving Mahaprabhu? So he said, Sachisunu, the son of Sachi, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has appeared in Navadvip, he is not another person. Nandishwarapati, he is the son of Nanda Maharaj. And he has come now like Shiksha Guru. The relationship with Diksha Guru, in that there's some awe and reverence. There must be. Why? Because at that time the devotee is not realized in his relation with Krishna, and there's a tendency for the senses to go out of control, the mind to go out of control, the tendency to commit offenses, and so on. So therefore, in that stage, the disciple must have great reverence and respect for the spiritual master, so that he's careful. Bando muhisavdhan mate, that he's very careful not to make any offense. But with Shiksha Guru, the relationship is a friendship, very friendly. Oh, recently, my very near and dear Shamarani Didi, she's spending a lot of time with Param Pujapal Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, who was a close friend of my Gurudev, and he's a very high class of Vaisnava. And so, on the disappearance of my spiritual master from this world, then Shamarani, I also go to have his darshan and hear katha from him. But Shamarani is spending a lot of time with him. So, he was talking about the relationship between the Shiksha disciple and Shiksha Guru. And he said to her, we are friends. Like what? Sarvadara Vinda Bandhu Nandini. You know? The son is the Sarvadara Vindabandhu, the friend of the lotus flower. Because when the sun rises, then the lotus flower opens. So the sun is called Sarvadara Vindabandhu, the friend of all the lotus flowers. So he said to Shamrani, so we are friends, like the sun and the lotus flower. That means the sun is so high in the sky, 96 million miles away, and the lotus flower is down here. But still we are friends. Understand? We are still friends. So relationship with Shiksha Guru is like that. Because friends have equality. But the Shiksha disciple is not equal with the Shiksha Guru. Only they have friendship, but remember, one is here and one is here. So, the devotee should see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his bhajan Shiksha Guru. And hearing about the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how Mahaprabhu is doing bhajan, follow that example. And Guru Baram Mukunda Prastatve, and remember that your Gurudev is very close to the divine couple. So at the time of Diksha, Guru also gives Guru Mantra and Guru Gayatri. So by the Guru Mantra and Guru Gayatri, which is none different from the Swarupa of the spiritual master, the disciple can have the darshan of his Guru's Gopi Swarup. So Gurudev is very kind, very merciful, that he at the time of initiation, he gives his own spiritual form to the disciple. And it's only a matter of time before the disciple will see the spiritual form. This form we are seeing is also spiritual of the Guru, but the form of Guru in Radha Krishna Lila. And seeing this, then they will know how to serve, and Guru is very kind. She will engage that disciple in the service of Radha Krishna in such a way that through the intrigues of the mellows of Braj, the disciple will become deeply, deeply attached and deeply and confidentially related with Radha and Krishna. So, in the third verse, now we come to the third verse of Manah-siksa. Srila Raghunatha Das Goswami is saying to his mind, Yadits cherava sambraja bhuvi saragam pratijanu yuvadandam tachat paricharitam aradavilase sarupam sirupam saganam yatasya grajamatpi sputam premya nityasmarat tadatatam sinumana. Oh my dear mind, listen to me. You should, if you want to serve very personal and intimate services to the divine couple on the same level as the eternal associates in Braja, then with great love you should bow down and remember, lifetime after lifetime, Swarupa Damodar Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and the devotees who are following in the wake of their devotional service. So this is a very important topic. Don't think, only if you are chanting and Radhe Radhe Radhe, that you can enter into the service of Radha Krishna like Rupa Manjari. Impossible. Spiritual life is not about what you know, it's about who you know. You have to have some contacts who are there, who will allow you to enter. So those who are doing bhajan to Radha and Krishna, but they are not taking shelter of Swarupa Damodar, Rupa Goswami. Swarupa Damodar is the incarnation of Lalita Sakhi. Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. Sanatan Goswami is Labanga Manjari. They are in charge of that realm. They are in charge. They will designate who will do whatever service. Any service will be attained only by their mercy. So in our kirtans that we are singing every day, sometimes the devotees who are even practicing many years, but they are not familiar with the secrets of Raghunath bhajan. I think, what song is this? Aha Swarup Sanatana Bata Raguna Bata Juga Shi Jiva Ha Prabhu Lokana. These songs, they just seem like a list of names. What does this have to do with Radha and Krishna or anything? No. Radha, Krishna and their associates, they come together into this world in Kali Yuga as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, Swarupa Damodar, and they perform their leela in such a way that if we'll be absorbed in honouring them, bowing down to them and remembering them, then all the anukul bhavs, all the favourable feelings by which we can enter into that realm will be raised in our heart. So to remember them and feel separation from them. Again we see the example where the songs of Srila Raghunatha Das Thakur are exactly and practically illustrating the teachings of Raghunath Das Goswami in Manah-siksa. Understand? Previously we mentioned Radha Krishna Pranam is showing Brajay Radha Krishna Prachara Paricharyam Hetanu. And now the song Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Kora More is illustrating. So this verse Sarupam Si Rupam Saganam Niyata Sagan. Remember Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and so on. So Srila Raghunatha Das Thakur through his kirtans is exactly following the teachings of Raghunath Das Goswami in Manah-siksa. Who is Swarupa Damodar? So, actually, he is a friend of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Nimai Pandit. Since childhood, they went to school together. His house was just behind the house of Jagannath Mishra. And in his childhood, just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his name was Nimai Pandit. And Gadadhar was Gadadhar Pandit. His name was Purushottam Pandit. And all the little boys, the little pandits, they used to go to school every day carrying their palm leaf books under their arms and study Sanskrit together. Learning all the sutras of the Sanskrit grammar and Nyaya, logic shastra. They used to play together. So Purushottam Pandit was very attached to his friend Nimai Pandit. And when Nimai Pandit was 24 years old and he accepted the renounced order of life and left Navadvip, then Purushottam Pandit became mad in separation. And he thought, I also should be renounced. From whom I can take the renounced order? Oh, there are so many sannyasis in Benares, Varanasi. So he immediately ran away from home and he went to Varanasi. And he found one sannyasi there. His name was Chaitanya Tirtha. So the brahmachari servant of a sannyasi whose name is Tirtha by tradition is Swarup. And so when he became the brahmachari servant of Chaitanya Tirtha, then his name became Swarup Brahmachari. And he stayed with that sannyasi for some time, and when he had satisfied him, that sannyasi gave sannyas to Swarup also. And so he cut off his sikha. In their tradition they have no sikha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had no sikha, you know. And no Brahmin, he's always painted. They painted him as a sannyasi with sikha and Brahmin thread. But in their tradition, their Dvaita tradition, they cut off, at the time of sannyas, they cut off the sikha and they also give up the Brahmin thread. And they accept yog pata, cloth around the neck. But Swarup, he cut off his sikha and gave up his Brahmin thread. But he did not accept the yog pata. And even he did not take, his name should have been Tirtha, but he did not accept the sannyas name. And he was so restless that before the ceremony was even finished, he got up and he ran to Jagannath. He never found out what his sannyas name was. And running and running and running, he finally, he arrived in Jagannath Puri. And when he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he fell down at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he began to offer prayers. Do you know what he said? Do you know the prayer? Very important. Hail du nitakedaya vishadaya pranmila damodaya samyat shastra vivadaya rasadaya chitapitunmadaya saswat bhakti vinodaya samadaya madhurya madaya Sri Chaitanya dayani day tavadaya bhuyada mando daya. Very important verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's originally from Chaitanya Chandradaya Natakam. That was composed by whom? That baby who sucked Mahaprabhu's big toe. When he grew up, when he was a baby, his name was Paramananda, but Mahaprabhu called him Puridas. And when he became older, then he was Kavikarnapur, the great poet Kavikarnapur. So, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world, then Maharaj Prataparudra was dying. He could not stay alive. He could not defend the borders of Orissa. Orissa was a very big state, and now it's much smaller. Because he was so mad in separation from Mahaprabhu, he could not do his job as a king and defend the borders. I remember once I was giving a lecture at a university in Orissa, and I was glorifying Mahaprabhu. Then at the end of the lecture, one of the students said, "Oh, we don't like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." He was very patriotic, very nationalistic. He said, "We don't like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was because of him that our state of Orissa became so small." Because by his influence, Prataparudra could not defend the borders of Orissa. So they were seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a political person in history. Like that. So they did not believe he's Krishna or anything like that. But just in case you have any doubt whether Chaitanya Mahaprabhu existed or his pastimes are real, even people who don't believe him in Orissa, they're complaining, "Oh, it was his fault, our state became smaller." And in this way, with great faith, he criticized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I heard it like nectar. Oh. Like a glorification. Because it shows that the power and influence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he did. So the king became senseless in separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was about to die. And to save his life, Kavi, that boy who had sucked the toe of Mahaprabhu, when he grew up, Kavi Karnapur, he wrote Chaitanya Chandradaya Natakam, 10 dramas about the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in order to save the life of Prataparudra Maharaj and pacify his separation. So in his drama, there he has written about the moment of the meeting, the first meeting of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his nearest, most intimate associate, Swarupa Damodar, after they had both renounced their life in Navadvip as Nimai Pandit and Purushottam Pandit. Their first meeting, how sweet it was. So Swarupa Damodar said, he described the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in 3 installments. In 3 installments he's describing the mercy of Mahaprabhu. So the last line, the 4th line of the verse says, Sri Chaitanya Daya Nidai Tava Daya Bhuyada Mando Daya. O Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, your mercy is like an ocean. May that ocean of your mercy awaken in my heart. That's the last line. And then in 3 lines, he describes the 3 stages of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So the first stage is described in the first line. Hail Dhunita Kedaya Vishadaya Pranmila Amandaya. He's saying that the living entities in this world, for many lifetimes, they're struggling to be happy. But they always meet with failure and disappointment. Even if you have some plan, and you work for years and you make everything perfect. So now you've made all your environment perfect, but what happens? You have grown, now you grow old. And your body is attacked by so many health problems and diseases you cannot enjoy. It is, anyone cannot avoid it. So the people of this world, they are filled with khed. Khed means regret, lamentation. But when one receives the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and their life turns into the life of chanting, dancing, honoring Mahaprasadam, hearing Harikatha, then all their khed goes away. All their vishad. Vishad means the disappointment. Their great disappointment all goes away. And how does it go? Hela means, you know what Hela means? Yes, yes. Hela means neglect. It means neglect. So if you neglect something, then that means you put no effort in it at all. Right? You neglected it. So Hela Dunitakedya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is such that effortlessly he takes away all of your regret, all of your lamentation. Hela Dunitakedya. His mercy takes everything away. Pranmelad Amoda, and awakens joy in your heart. The heart becomes joyful. This is the first stage. So now the anarthas in the heart have been very easily cleared. And you begin to realize Krishna. Now you are Madhyamadikari. But in that stage, you are hearing Shastra and studying Shastra. But sometimes, the more one studies the Shastra, the more one becomes puzzled and confused. Because many statements seem to be different. You hear from this one and that one, and the Shastra, one Shastra says this, another says this, and sometimes some bewilderment comes about. And then there's Shastra Vivad. Shastra Vivad means argument and counter-argument based on the Vedic literatures. So the next stage of Mahaprabhu's mercy is Samyat Shastra Vivadaya. He silences all Shastra Vivad. Because when the higher realization comes, everything is reconciled. And the deep meaning of each word of when the devotee by Mahaprabhu's mercy, he reads Bhagavatam, and all the nectar of realization is coming. So the quarreling over the meaning of Shastra, everything, Samyat Shastra Vivadaya, it all becomes silent. All doubts have gone away. Samyat Shastra Vivadaya, Rasadaya! And he fills your heart with rasa. Chitta Arpit Unmadaya! And he offers to your chitta, Unmad! Intoxication. One becomes intoxicated, realizing the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And then what happens? The third installment of his mercy. Shashvat Bhakti Vinodaya. Samadaya Madhurya Maryadaya. Then you leave this world behind and go into the Sashwat Bhakti Vinod. That means the eternal amusements of Radha and Krishna. Shashwat Bhakti Vinod. Vinod means play, amusements. What is Vinod? Vinod means, it means amusement, like Radha and Krishna swinging. And all the Sakhis are singing. Like, gambling. Throwing dice and gambling games. Radha Krishna, Holy Leela, throwing colors at each other. All of this is all Vinod. So Shaswat Bhakti Vinod, eternal Vinod, eternal Leelas of the divine couple. Samadaya. And one becomes completely intoxicated in that Leela. Madhurya Maryadaya. Maryada, we spoke about the meaning of Maryada in terms of some rules and regulations. Maryada really means a limit. In other words, there's a Maryada, there's a limit to what you can do. You see? So in the third installment of Krishna's, of Mahaprabhu's mercy, Madhurya Maryadaya, he involves you in that Leela of Radha and Krishna, which is the ultimate limit of sweetness. Of course that sweetness is always increasing, but there's no other sweetness which is greater than that, and therefore it's called Madhurya Maryadaya. He gives the ultimate limit of divine transcendental sweetness. So Sri Chaitanya Doyanide Tavadaya Bhuya Damando, may your ocean of mercy be raised in my heart. So Swarupa Damodar, when he arrived there, he fell on the ground, giving Dandavat Pranam, and he was singing this, glorifying Mahaprabhu's mercy in this way. So when Mahaprabhu saw him, he picked him up, and they embraced each other. And both Mahaprabhu and Swarupa Damodar, they fainted in ecstasy when they embraced each other. Swarupa Damodar is Lalita Sakhi. Krishna, Krishna has beautiful curling hair, and he is the supreme enjoyer. What happened? He shaved off all his hair and now became a sannyasi. He's sleeping on the bare floor without a pillow. Why has Krishna become like this? Because he's trying to understand the heart of Radhika. And now Lalita Sakhi in the form of Swarupa Damodar, having left everyone and everything in Navadvip, Sachimata, Vishnu Priya, and all the Navadvip associates, Krishna's left them all just to realize the love of Radhika. And now Lalita Sakhi in the form of Swarupa Damodar is seeing him in this condition. And they embrace each other and faint in ecstasy. Wow. After some time, then Mahaprabhu and Swarupa Damodar, they opened their eyes. Another Paramananda Puri was there. Other devotees, they were there. They were seeing this beautiful scene. And Swarupa Damodar said, I am a great offender, because I gave you up and went somewhere else. Now, he's apologizing that he went to Varanasi and he stayed there for some time in order that someone would give sannyas to him. He said, I gave you up, but you never gave me up. And by your mercy you have brought me again to your lotus feet. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh, you are my own body. Swarupa Damodar is the Mahaprabhu's Dutiya Kalebar, second body. And he arranged the bhajan kutir for him. And Mahaprabhu gave one servant as well to make sure, a servant who could bring water and whatever he needed. He used to stay in a very lonely place at Satasantila. And except for when he came to see Mahaprabhu, no one knew where he was. It said that Swarupa Damodar, in terms of learning of the Shastra, he was like Brihaspati, the guru of all the demigods. But he never used to speak. He was always silent, he never spoke with anyone. He was the most learned person, but only those who are really close to him even knew it, because he didn't speak. Why didn't he speak? Why was he doing Lalita? Why was he doing Mom?
Because in his previous life he was Pradalva, now he's
Prakara.
Prakara.
Because he's absorbed internally, always in bhajan. And speaking unnecessarily. It will come in the next verse of Manah-siksa. It robs you of all the intelligence, which is the spiritual intelligence which is required to go deeply into bhajan. So, here Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, bow down with great love and call out the name of Swarupa Damodar and remember him continuously. Because when we idealize someone, we gradually become like them. So we want to follow the example of Swarupa Damodar. He did not speak. But not only that, but He was so talented in music, more than a Gandharva. We don't have any books by Swarupa Damodar Goswami, but he's written one book. It's called the Kadacha was not written down. His Kadacha, which he called the Notes of Swarupa Damodar, which became the basis of Chaitanya Charitamrita. They were taught verbally by Swarupa Damodar to Raghunath Das Goswami. And then later he taught them to Krishna Das Kaviraj, who then expanded the explanation of them and they became the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But Swarupa Damodar did write a book called Sangeet Damodar, which is a book about music. He was very expert at singing in all various ragas. And the ragas also express different rasas. And it's possible through the development of a rag to express all the different ingredients of rasa. The Sanchari Bhav, the Vibhav, the Anubhavs and so on can be expressed through raga. You can see, if you study this subject, in Western music there are 12 notes in an octave. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa, 7 plus 5 in Kamal, soft or Tivra, sharps or flats. So it makes 12 notes. But in the Vedic music there are 22. The 22 the Shrutis, microtones in between the octave. And so the relationship between the key of the raga and any one of the 22 swaras brings out a different feeling, a different Sanchari Bhav. So Swarupa Damodar knew how to sing in such a way that not only the rasa of the poetry that he was singing, but the raga perfectly expressed the rasa of the poetry. And so he used to come every night and meet with Mahaprabhu in his very small room, Gambhira. And he used to sing the poetry of, just like yesterday we were speaking about Astachap poets. And they've written many songs in vernacular, not Sanskrit, but in an ordinary language. They're used by the common folk, vernacular. So Swarupa Damodar used to sing those types of songs, but in our line, that means the poetry of Vidyapati and Chandidas. They have both written hundreds of poems expressing different aspects of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So Swarupa Damodar used to sing those, and along with the Sanskrit songs of Geet Govinda. And Govamanga Thakur's Krishna Karnamrita. And also of course Srimad Bhagavatam. So Swarupa Damodar used to sing with Mahaprabhu, and he became Mahaprabhu's personal secretary. Because many devotees, they were eager to come and try to inspire Mahaprabhu's mood by performing a drama, or reciting some poetry, or singing a bhajan, perhaps that they themselves had written. But before anyone could perform before Mahaprabhu, they had to come to Swarupa Damodar Goswami first, and he would listen, and then he could ascertain whether there was any apasiddhanta, wrong philosophy, or rasa abhas, any defect in the mellow. So Krishna's Kaviraj has said, Goswami, he told, Rasa basa jadi hoy, siddhanta virod, sahitena pariprabhu mani hoy krod. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though Mahaprabhu is more humble than a blade of grass, even though he's more tolerant than a tree, and even though he's the most merciful and munificent incarnation, he cannot tolerate apasiddhanta, wrong philosophy, or rasabhas. He would become angry. He's more tolerant than a tree, but he would become angry if someone spoke about Radha Krishna, but the rest, the mellow was not perfect. Why? Because it's painful for him. He's realizing that Leela, if he hears someone deform it in any way, by rasabhas, it's painful for him. That pain is intolerance. Is not the intolerance of an ordinary person who can't tolerate things. That pain of intolerance is the expression of his love for Krishna.
Seine Untoleranz ist ein Ausdruck seiner Liebe für Krishna.
So Swarupa Damodar, he used to screen everyone before they could speak before Mahaprabhu.
But Mahaprabhu can accommodate anything.
Not Rasabha.
Das Einzige, was nicht tolerieren kann, ist Rasa.
So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the name Damodar. Actually, because his name was Swarup. And it was Mahaprabhu himself who gave him the name Damodar. Because he could sing so beautifully. He could bind Krishna by his kirtan. Because he could bind Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself by his kirtan. And because he was Swarup Damodar, he was a second form. He was Mahaprabhu's second form. Mahaprabhu is Damodar. Mahaprabhu is Krishna, bound by the love of Radharani. So Mahaprabhu is Damodar. And because he's the second form of Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu gave him the name Damodar, and he became Swarup Damodar. Sometimes they call him Swarup Damodar, sometimes they call him Damodar Swarup, whichever way. Out of affection. It wasn't fixed. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced at Rath Yatra, no one could understand what he was feeling. But Swarup Damodar knew. And he would recite poetry to augment the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes Swarup Damodar used to sing Geet Govinda. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it said that one evening Mahaprabhu was wandering in the gardens along the shore of the ocean in Puri. And Swarup Damodar he began to sing. Smarati mano mama krita parihasam harim hiya vito vilasam rasehi harim hiya vito vilasam. Mahaprabhu said again. And again he sang it. Mahaprabhu said again. And Swarup Damodar had to sing one line of one song of Geet Govinda the whole night. And Mahaprabhu was in complete ecstasy. He would sing in the Drupad style. In Drupad, you sing the same line again and again. Sometimes you only sing half a line and then go back to the beginning, and then sing it again and just add a word. And you keep going back to the beginning until you finally sing the whole. In this way you can relish, really relish the line. And then when you sing the whole line, you sing in the rag, so many notes of the rag, and then back down again. And then sing it again, but going up, and then including one note that you haven't sung before, and come back down again. And then next time go up and include a note which you didn't, like this, until you do the full range of the notes. And then after some time, then you can sing a note which is forbidden, which you should not sing. And it makes a special effect, completely changes the bar. So Swarup Damodar could sing the same line of Geet Govinda all night, in different ways, and Mahaprabhu was floating in ecstasy. So Swarup Damodar, he is the embodiment of the highest love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most rasik. And if anyone is to attain the service of Radha and Krishna without taking shelter of Swarup Damodar, it is impossible. Srila Rupa Goswami has written, Yam kamapi brachapate brishabhanujaya praksha swapaksha padavim anurudyamanam sadyastadista gatanena kritatayantim devim gunai sulalitam lalitam namami. Lalita Saki, as she moves around Brajamandal, she's always on the lookout. And if she sees any young gopi and ascertains that that gopi has an inclination towards the service of her Saki Radharani, then Lalita immediately catches her and brings her to Radhika and fulfills all her desires for service. So that very Lalita, without whose mercy anyone cannot attain the service of Radhika. And if Lalita will offer some young gopi into Radharani's service, Radharani must accept. Because first of all, whatever Lalita suggests, she accepts. Because Lalita is offering that maidservant with love. And secondly, because Radharani is a little afraid of Lalita also. Lalita is older, she's very bold. She can control Krishna and they control Radharani even. Raghunath Das Goswami came to Puri, then he said to Swarupa Damodar, I have a question for Mahaprabhu, can you ask on my behalf? So Swarupa Damodar, you see how humble Raghunath Das Goswami is. He didn't come to his very superior person, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, directly, but through Swarupa Damodar. Swarupa Damodar said, oh my Lord, Raghunath Das Goswami has a question to pose to you. Mahaprabhu said, I already gave you to Swarupa Damodar. He knows more than me. It's true, Mahaprabhu was not joking. So how qualified is Swarupa Damodar Goswami? If you want to enter into Gaura Lila, enter into Radha Krishna's Lila, it's essential to have love for Swarupa Damodar Goswami. And that is, how does it come? By hearing about his pastimes, hearing about his glories. That love will come because he's a transcendental personality. By remembering him, praying to him, bowing down, then that love will awaken in the heart. I mean, you cannot have love for a material person you never met. Some historical person from 500 years ago. Really, you cannot know them or love them. But Swarupa Damodar, he's here now. This is why Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, bow down, remember and call his name with great love, because Swarupa Damodar is here today. He's with us all times. It is just a question, are we aware or not? So you have to come in that stage of life where you are living among your divine angels, your transcendental guardians, who give us blessings and clear the path for us to attain our Prayojan, our ultimate goal of life.
He was younger than Mahaprabhu.
So Damodar, about the same age. May have been a little younger, but he was contemporary.
Because he said, my Lord. So.
But he knows Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. That's why he said, oh my Lord. But in Navadvip Leela, Mahaprabhu revealed his body. He would sit on the Singhasan of the deities and then show his Swarup. So, in Puri Leela, there's some little Aishwarya among the associates in their sadhak forms. So, Paramananda Puri is senior to Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu would show respect to him. But Paramananda Puri is the incarnation of Uddhav. So, though Paramananda Puri would tolerate the respect of Mahaprabhu, but in his heart Mahaprabhu is Mahaprabhu, Supreme Lord. So, here Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is showing the secret of bhajan. Swarupam Sri Rupam Saganam Yatasya Grajamapi. With love, bow down and call out to Swarupa Damodar and hear Rupa Goswami. Last night we told some Leela based on Krishna Karnamrita. In the verse of Krishna Karnamrita, there Bhavamangal Thakur has written, when will the day come when I will enter the kunj of Radha and Krishna, when Krishna is pretending to be asleep? And when Radhika and her Sakhis, they have a rasalap, very rasic discussions, then the wave of love rises in Krishna's heart in such a way that he cannot repress a smile coming across his face, as much as he tries. When will I see that smile? So, Bhavamangal Thakur has revealed something, a drop of Radha Krishna's Leela. And in the commentary, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj describes how Bhavamangal Thakur has gone some distance from Radha and Krishna, and then when their play is over and Krishna is pretending to be asleep, Bhavamangal Thakur in his Swarupa as a gopi has come with the other Sakhis to the kunj, and now some laughing and joking is going on. But last night I gave told one verse
habe ich einen
of
Vers
Utkalika Vallari where Rupa Goswami is saying,
Rupa Goswami sagt,
when will Radharani
wann wird Radharani
tell me,
mir sagen,
oh, untie Krishna's top knot
mach
and
jetzt
make a
Krishnas,
Veni.
Haar
Now
frei,
see the difference
mach
between
ein
the revelation of Krishna Karnamrita, compare it with the revelation of Rupa Goswami.
von Krishna
In
Karanamrita.
Krishna Karnamrita, when Radha Krishna meet together, the gopis have gone away.
Und die Gopis weggegangen.
But in the poetry of Rupa Goswami,
In der Poesie von Rupa Goswami,
oh, Rupa Manjari is there, and Radhika is actually telling her,
und Radharani sagt,
decorate us to prepare us for our Viparita Rati, that means the pastimes of experiencing what it's like to be each other.
wie es ist,
Huh?
aus
Don't
sich
think
selber
any
aus der anderen Perspektive
material
wahrzunehmen.
thoughts. There's
Es ist aus
no
der
lust in Radha
anderen
Krishna
Perspektive,
Lila. They want to experience what it's like to be each other.
wie es sich-
This
wie
is
es
a
sich
kautuki.
selber zu sein.
You know, curiosity, loving curiosity. If I were you and you were me, what would it be like?
Du bist und du ich,
Like
ist
this.
es dann
And so Radhika is telling Rupa Manjari to prepare them to their Vaish,
bereit,
to prepare their Vaish before this Leela.
vor diesem Leben.
So now compare,
Vergleiche nun,
in Bilvamangal Thakur is giving example
gibt ein
of those
Beispiel,
Sakis who were not allowed to see this Leela
die nicht
and they're
erlaubt waren,
speculating
das zu sehen.
and thinking, oh, we saw the Sujumna and Shikandi walking in the forest.
Junge und
They're your gurus, right?
Shikandi, das sind doch deine Gurus.
Like this. Because they're thinking, what pastimes have Radha Krishna performed? They don't know. And they're just giving some suggestion and making a joke.
Nur Vorschläge, mach bitte.
On the other hand, Rupa Goswami, in his writing,
Goswami in seinen Schriften,
she is there, not only there, but rendering service and assisting in that Leela.
sie assistiert dort in den Lila drin.
See the big difference.
Seht die große
Ja.
Unterschied.
So when Bhav is coming,
Wahr
the heart
scheint,
melts
das Herz schmilzt
with Bhagavat Prapt Abhilas,
mit dem Wunsch, Krishna
Anukul Abhilas,
begegnen.
Sohard Abhilas. You can see here the Sohard Abhilas. That means the feeling to have such an intimate friendship and sympathy with the divine couple. Here, even Lalita Vishaka and other Sakis, they have no idea. They can only joke about it, speculate about it. Radharani is denying it, even. But Rupa Goswami is so close. And therefore, as I said, it's not what you know, but who you know. If one has a relation with Rupa Goswami, then even what has not been revealed by Bilvamangal Thakur, and which is not witnessed by Lalita and Vishaka, then that one has the opportunity to be invited, to be admitted into that seva. That is seva Saubhagya. Really. And so Raghunath Das Goswami is completing this line, Sarupam Sirupam Saganam Hiyatasyagrajamapi. Not only Swarupa Damodar Goswami, but also Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and those who are in his group. Make your relation with them, remember them, bow down to them, call out their names with great love. If you want to be admitted personally by them into that lila. You cannot imagine your way into Krishna's service. Krishna is real, Radhika is real, their maidservants are real. So those real maidservants, they really, you have to have a relationship and then they'll admit you. Otherwise, no entry at all. This is the essence. Central points of the third verse of meditation. Gaur Premanande. The question. Oh, why do I wear a towel on my shoulder? In case my nose is running. No. He said, this is called. Hey, why are you not wearing? And you also. And you. Oh, and you also. This is Vaishnava culture. You know, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a song. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Kobe Kori Bena Daya Kobe Hame Paibo Vaishnav Padachaya. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will give mercy to me, there's a sign. There's a sign when Mahaprabhu gives you mercy. What is that sign? That you get close relation with a pure Vaishnava. This is the sign. And then he describes how Mahaprabhu's mercy then develops the relationship with that Vaishnava. He says, Gala Vastra Kritanjale Vaishnava Nikate. Vaishnava Nikate Danraibo Nishkapati. Oh, Dante Tinakori Danraibo Nishkapati. He said, when will I approach that Vaishnava? Gala Vastra Kritanjali. This is called a Gala Vastra, a neck cloth. And when Kritanjali means when you make your hands like this. So I will take my Gala Vastra in the Kritanjali and with a blade of grass between my teeth is a sign of humility. Dante Trinakori Dan Raibo Nishkapate. And I'll beg for the guidance and discipline. I'll stand before the Vaishnava Nishkapate without any duplicity. Not hiding anything, not pretending anything, not for show, not to get something and then run away, but coming forever to surrender to the eternal guidance of that transcendental personality. So why is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying Galavastra Kritanjali? I'm taking a cloth around my neck. Because this is Vaishnava culture. It means if your chest is open, then you are proud. So chest should be covered. Chest should be covered. And to take the Galavastra is the sign of admitting your fault. You know, when Krishna disappeared from Rasalila, Pitambara Dara Shragvi. This Pitambara was a Galavastra Kritanjali. He took his Pitambara around his neck and was holding like this. So this gesture, this posture, and this cloth, the symbolism is that I am foolish, I am ignorant, I have made a mistake, I admit my faults, and I have come to be rectified. And this is why in Vaishnava culture we wear this always and never go anywhere without the Galavastra, to always be in a state of mind. I am a wretched person, I have many mistakes, many faults. Oh Gurudev, Vaishnavas, oh Mahaprabhu, please correct me. Rectify my heart. Thank you for your question. It's a very good and important question. Yes, Prabhu.
This line is like, can I say it's also a basis for Raghunath Bhakti, because faith in the eternal associates is like the adhikar, is like the basic qualification for Raghunath Bhakti.
That's
yes.
Adar.
Yes, the Adar, the respect for the associates of the Lord is actually the foundation of the qualification to enter into Ragamarg even if you're not qualified to enter, actually. See, the qualification is lobe, greed. But for those in whose heart the greed is not manifested yet, they can very tentatively and carefully, under the guidance of their Guru, begin to adopt some aspects of Raganuga Bhakti only on the basis of the qualification that they have the utmost honor towards the associates of the Lord. So that is called Vaidhi Sambalit Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti mixed with and supported by Vaidhi Bhakti, that can be taken up by a person in whose heart Ruchi greed has not yet manifested, if they have the greatest respect for the associates of Vaidhi Sambalit. So that's a preliminary meaning. A preliminary meaning. But for those in whom greed has actually appeared, then you should know that Gaura Leela is called Radha Krishna Udbodak Leela. dance of Gaur Lila causes a spontaneous awakening of Krishna Lila. So one of the secrets of Raga Marg is, if you just try to remember Radha Krishna Lila, it will be very difficult and very inaccessible. But if first you remember Mahaprabhu and his associates and bow to them, then that honor to them and remembrance to them will awaken a natural smaranam of Radha Krishna Lila. So Gaura Lila is called Radha Krishna Udbodak Lila. So that is what you have mentioned is a preliminary understanding for those who are not quite qualified yet. And then this meaning is actually an aspect of bhajan chaturya. The skill of how to do bhajan expertly. It is part of that. It's actually, Manah-siksa is really about bhajan chaturya. The skill of how to enter into very profound Manasik Seva. Yes, bro.
This verse just came. Ragatmik Ekanishtaye.
Rajavasi Janadisu.
Is it like
Oh, here the word Nishta is a qualification of the Ragatmik. And the next line says the Rajavasi Janadisu Tasam Bhava Pyute Lubdo. The Lubda is the qualification of the practicing devotee, and the Ekanishta is the fixedness in the sweetness of their natural love for Krishna of the Brijvasis. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Lubda means full of load. Lubda is full of load. Tasam Bhav. Tasa is a genitive plural. It means of them. Tasam Bhav, the ecstatic emotions of those Ragatmik, the eternal associates. Apt. Apt means attain. So Tasam Bhav Apjate Lubda, a person who's become totally consumed, totally obsessed and infatuated with the attainment of the moods of those associates, then he's qualified for Ragamaka. That's it. Yes, Prabhu.
Yesterday you told us two things, that the Mahamantra is like rice and the Gopal mantra is like a bowl.
Pot. Yeah, not the bowl. The bowl is after the rice is cooked. The pot is necessary for cooking it, yes. To prepare it, yes.
Okay, and the second thing was that we walk up here and Diksha is bringing us down. And Shiksha is learn to walk.
Yes, yes.
So for me, it looks like Shiksha is, it is important to find a bona fide guru, otherwise he will teach you wrong.
Yes, yes.
But why is it important to have a bona fide Diksha guru? Because Diksha is coming down the parampara anyway.
Because when we speak of Shiksha Guru, we're speaking about bhajan Shiksha Guru. That means one who gives you the internal guidance how to do the internal services to Radha and Krishna. But that does not mean that the Diksha Guru doesn't give you Shiksha, just mean in that sense, Shiksha just means instruction, you see. Because in the 64 angas of Bhakti, first is Guru Padashray, taking shelter of the spiritual master. Then Diksha, receiving initiation. Then Saddhamma Pritya Shiksha, making inquiries about the eternal Dharma, which is Bhakti, and receiving instructions. So there's Shiksha, there's instructions to make the process of Diksha become mature. In other words, that your feet will be planted in Vrindavan, that you'll touch down, that you'll make the connection with Brajalila. So therefore the Diksha Guru must also be very, very qualified. Otherwise, how can he establish you in that relationship? Now, yesterday I did mention, but it might be a point that everyone did not catch. I said Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru are two functions. They're two functions. So before we're established in our relationship with Krishna, then the Guru who is guiding you is doing the function of Diksha. So he's Diksha Guru. And when you're established in your relationship, it may be the same devotee, or it may be another devotee in another case. Now he's doing the function of Shiksha Guru because that's what you need. That's what you need, the next step in your life. So to understand these two functions, then you have to look very closely at the verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita. The first chapter. The first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita is describing in detail the nuances of Guru Tattva. So there, Krishnadas Kaviraj says, Guru Krishna Rupahana Shastra Pramane Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Koren Bhakta Gane. He said the Diksha Guru is called Krishna Rup, a form of Krishna. Sakshat Haritvaina Samasta Shastra. So a Vaishnava cannot be Krishna Rup, a form of Krishna, Sakshat Hari. If himself is covered with anartha, himself is being moved by the waves of the gunas, then how will Diksha Guru? So Diksha Guru should be very qualified. And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that Shiksha Guru Kaita Jane Krishna Ra Swarup Antaryami Bhakta Shasta Ai Dui Rup. He said the Shiksha Guru is called Krishna Swarup. And he has two forms. One is Antaryami, in your heart, because Krishna in your heart will also guide you. And the other is Bhakta Shashta, the best of in the Vaishnava community, who is the best and most qualified amongst them, is a Mahant. He is also Shiksha Guru in your life. So now we have two terms to describe, one describing Diksha Guru and one describing Shiksha Guru. The Diksha Guru is called Krishna Rup and the Shiksha Guru is called Krishna Swarup. What does that imply? It implies that the Diksha Guru acquaints you, by his mercy you become acquainted with Krishna Rup, the form of Krishna. And by the mercy of the Shiksha Guru, you become acquainted with Krishna Swarup. That means his character, what he's like, what he likes, his heart, how he behaves, and all of these things. That is called Krishna Swarup. You see? So the Diksha Guru makes your connection with Krishna, and the Shiksha Guru expands that to a deep understanding of the heart of Krishna, what he likes, what he wants, and all of these things. Now, we know philosophically that there's no difference between Krishna Rupa and Krishna Swarup. Krishna's form and Krishna's qualities, there's no difference. So in the same way as it's an offense to consider that Krishna's qualities are different from his form, it's an offense to consider that there's a difference between the Diksha Guru and the Shiksha Guru. So in answer to your question, yes, Shiksha Guru should be so qualified. Diksha Guru should also be so qualified. Because one should not see a difference between them. Those two Vaishnavas or more, because Diksha Guru is one, but Shiksha Guru can be many. So it's an offense to see a difference between them. One should think that the Guru Tattva is speaking to us through Krishna's different, the dear devotees.
So what happens if you take Diksha from a Guru who's not qualified? I mean, Shiksha you always can change and find someone else.
Yes.
But then it looks to me you're quite lost if you take Diksha from a...
If, you see, the meeting with the bona fide Sadguru depends on your Sukriti. So if due to some lack of Sukriti, someone takes shelter of a Diksha Guru, who is not so highly qualified. But anyway, if he's a sincere Vaishnava, he'll allow you to associate with other more advanced Vaishnavas. If he's a really sincere Vaishnava, he'll actually take you by the hand and say, come with me, let's go and see a more advanced Vaishnava. Really. And in other words, he'll allow you to associate with others, and he himself will also go and associate with others. So if the Diksha Guru is actually, he may not be on the highest level, but he's really a Vaishnava. That means a Vaishnava is a person who's free from envy. He's free from envy. Then there's no obstacle, because you always get the opportunity and benefit of associating with higher Vaishnavas. He will also associate as well. And when you go, the Shastra, there's a book called Krishna Bhajanamrita by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's intimate associate Narahari Sarkar. And there he describes about the dynamics in the Vaishnava community. And he even says that even at the time of our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there were gurus who, for one reason or another, deviated or made mistakes or did something wrong. Even at the time of Mahaprabhu, so what to speak about now, year 2013. Right now, Kali Yuga has progressed so much since then. So he said, even at that time, there were some discrepancies. What should you do in those circumstances? If there's some problem with the Guru, the disciple should not become upset or angry. He should go to his Gurudev in a solitary place and open his heart. Say, Gurudev, you have done or you have said this, this, this and this. I cannot reconcile it with Shastra. And if Guru is humble, he will say, yes, I will try to be rectified. And he'll also associate with higher Vaishnavas to get some strength and inspiration from them. And then the disciple should just wait patiently. And if after a short time he becomes properly situated again, then the disciple should not reject him. Should not reject him. But he may take permission from him to go and associate with a higher Vaishnava. And what he learns from that Vaishnava, he should come back to his Guru and tell his Gurudev what he's learned from him. And confirm that the understanding is correct also. So Narahari Thakur said, if the Vaishnavas, they all behave in this way, then there's nothing but auspiciousness for everyone involved. There's nothing but auspiciousness for everyone. And the reason is because even a high-level Madhyamadikari, sometimes even Krishna can make some problem in his life in order to make him become humble and advance even faster, like this. So Narahari Thakur has described these incidents and the procedure, how everyone should behave and accommodate the situation, that the disciple, the guru, the high level, everyone, it's auspicious for everyone, like this. However, sometimes, now is Kali Yuga, someone takes the role of guru, but they're not really Vaishnava. They're not really free from envy. They have an ego that the disciple is my property. The disciples are never the property of Guru. If Guru thinks the disciple is my property, he's not a Guru, he's a kangaroo. You know, kangaroo has a pocket here. Kangaroo is going around and putting things in his pocket. You see? So, to be Guru is a service. It's a service to Krishna. And like all services, you have to do them very nicely and very attentively. So the service is to teach Siddhanta to that soul, so they understand, they have a clear conception of what is pure bhakti. And to show them by example how to follow the path of bhakti. And when they're not following properly, to correct them and give some chastisement to encourage them, and in all ways, like having a child, and take care of them and bring them along on the path of bhakti and offer them to the service of Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna. So being a guru is a service. Guru is not master, he is a servant of the disciple. You know, when there's a baby and they're passing stool and vomiting, and the mother has to clean everything up, this is like being guru. The disciples, they make mistakes, they make offenses, they do foolish things, they make a disturbance in the bhajan of their guru even, like this. But guru, like a mother, very tolerant, very patient, is trying to help them progress on the path of, and enter into pure bhakti, like this. So my Gurudev used to say, I am doing the service of helping a jiva develop bhakti. And if some other Vaishnav comes and helps me do this service, and I'm not even paying him anything, then that's very good. For free he's helping. So the bona fide Guru, he's really a Vaishnav, he's never upset if another Vaishnav is helping him do his service. But if he has envy, and the mood comes, a prakrit bhav, that this disciple is my property. Hey, this is my property, not your property. And in this way he criticizes another devotee, or an advanced devotee. Then that guru should be rejected. Jiva Goswami has written in Bhakti Sandhava And he has quoted the verse that we told last night. When Parashuram said, "You then fight with me," and Bhishmadev said to his guru Parashuram, "Yes, Guru Rapyamaliptasya Karya Karya Ajanata Utpana Pratipannasya Prityago Vidiyate." The scriptures declare that you must give up the guru who has lost his discrimination between what is the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. Okay? And who has become Vaishnava Vidvesi. Vaishnava Vidvesi means envious of another devotee. That guru should be neglected. Otherwise, if guru has some problem in behavior, for a short time, like that, just be patient, it can be rectified. Because Krishna can be doing something here. That's okay. If guru has some problem in his behavior, but it goes on for a long time, then you just give pranam, give respect, and take shelter somewhere else as well. So all of these instructions have been given in scripture to make sure the procedures are in place that in Vaishnava community everyone can grow in a happy way, without disturbance. Oh, Krishna Bhajanam Rita by Narahari Sakar. If you give me a stick, I'll put an electronic copy and give it to you. I have an electronic copy also. I can give it. Now it's very late, so we'll take more questions in the evening. Morning is Siddhanta, in the evening more Leela Katha. Actually it was all Leela this morning also, Gaura Leela. Okay, Siddhanta and Gaura Leela in the morning, in the evening more Praja Leela. So we'll sing one kirtan, and devotees can remember their Gayatri mantras and be ready. We'll try to make prasadam a little bit earlier today and have the class a little bit earlier also in the evening. Thank you. If you have some question, just note it down so it doesn't evaporate from your mind. And we'll answer the question in the evening. Oh, Bhagavati asked a question about Maitra Pranay and Sakya Pranay. I'll answer in the evening, okay? Swarupa Damodar, so I want to sing in Raga. If you can't follow the first 5 or 6 times we sing, don't worry. Sometimes. Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Leela Purushottam Vishnupada Ishtoda Satsi Srimad Gaura Govinda Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Leela Purushottam Vishnupada Ishtoda Satsi Srimad Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitya Leela Purushottam Vishnupada Ishtoda Satsi Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Leela Purushottam Vishnupada Ishtoda Satsi Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshi Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Mahavashi Gokshudas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Saptami Goswami Srila Satyananda Thakur Bhakti Vinod Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Gaudi Guruva Ki Jai. Prem Sagosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Jai Sri Rup Sanatana Bhakti Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Brajamandal Ketramandal Gauda Mandal Ki Jai. Tribhuna Mahakari Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Shri Sri Radha Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Madhi Sri Rasa Sri Vishabhanu Nandini Shrimati Radharani Ki Jai. Jai Gaura Premanande. Om Vrindaye Tulasi Devya Priyaye Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Pari Devi Satyate Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyayeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Namo Namo Ki Jai. Shri Gurudev Ki Jai. Should I give you away, yeah?